Today's video is going to be about transvestigation, and I saw this briefly on Powerpuff Girls episode and had a nice chuckle, especially over the bright orange and then this image for Congress. These days they would even let them look like this and have them run for Congress, but you know, back in the day they kept this stuff a little bit more behind closed doors. And you know, think of all the governors that you find out that they've done drag in the past or whatever. It's a hazing ritual for people that are in the club. You'll hear certain people talk about being pressured into cross-dressing, and sometimes they use it as blackmail, I'm sure, more in the cases of the political baffos or inverts or whatever you want to call them. Club members, Orange 33 club members is what I say a lot of times. And yeah, it's a thing for a reason. Try to find any children's show out there that doesn't involve cross-dressing in some way, shape, or form. I would be very, very much surprised if you could find any media out there that doesn't have some sort of cross-dressing going on. And there's a reason for that. They know the magic behind you can't see the forest for the trees. And they know that if they joke about it, and if they talk about it, and if they keep it constantly in view, that a lot of people will never see it, because it was just always there. That's just where they grew up. Oh, I just thought celebrities were kind of weird looking, and that the people that said that they were attractive just had different tastes than me, rather than realizing that it's a giant gaslighting operation and that people know exactly what they're doing. So certain celebrities, David Lynch has a thing for Laura Dern, and I think that part of the thing is I think he enjoys how busted and obvious Laura Dern is, but good actor. He can fake it enough, I guess, to get people to believe in it. And I think that's part of the charm to some of them, that they're so busted and manly, but they still convince people that they're a woman. My mind goes to B. Arthur and Julia Child types, where it's like, how does that even pass to begin with? But they've just created a society around this ever since the last reset. The last reset, you go look at the earliest photos, and there's really manly looking people hiding all of their body all the way up to their neck with a big goofy hat on, and they're getting married to some softie that looks like a girl who's only been on T for like 6 months. So, oh man, got the purple too. They like to talk in colors and symbols. And oh, something I forgot about Laura Dern. Laura Dern's in Jurassic Park. What's a big scene in Jurassic Park? Life finds a way, when they're clicking two female connectors together. And that's kind of getting at the Free Martin idea, that a Free Martin and a natural woman can. If you have a society that just has all women, a Free Martin will pop out. It's like, I don't know if you've heard the phenomenon of chickens, where if you have a bunch of chickens and there's no roosters in the area, one of your chickens can actually transition into a rooster. Biology is wild, and life is highly adaptable. Those elbow joints are enormous, with the dangly monkey arms that hang straight down, a neck for days. These are all things too that they'll tell you are like elegant, womanly things. My mind goes straight to a strat I dated, traumatic experience. These people, they'll know exactly about all this stuff, but they'll date people who don't know, and they won't tell you anything about it, and it won't be until later you put the pieces together. Oh man, I dated one of these things. And anyways, I remember her mom would always talk about ballerinas and the lines, how they're all lines. In ballet, it's all about having lines, and she would say that her daughter had like a ballerina body, which is basically just a underdeveloped man body. It's a stick. You're just I mean, this thing is a Sasquatch, not ballet body. But the ballerina, most praised body, is an emaciated, tiny little boy body. And I guess this is a good point to talk about size, because that's the thing. I think that height is probably the biggest thing that trips people up. Because I still get comments all the time, oh, you know, looking for a tall guy with broad shoulders. I mean, these days, anyone over 6 foot tall, I would be very suspicious of, and I'm almost certain that that's a Free Martin if they're over 6 foot tall today. Because most non-Free Martin men are going to be from Strat bloodlines, and those tend to be shorter. They like the short Strats and the tall Free Martins. And what people don't understand is that eunuchs are tall. Go look into eunuchs. Being tall is something that eunuchs have always been recorded as being tall. They're long in the teeth too. There's a lot of little things about eunuchs, and a lot of it gets translated to folk tales. Like I just talked about long in the teeth. There's all sorts of stories about meeting people and you keep running into them and their teeth get like longer and longer. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? So, what is this video? What am I... Transvestigation, I think, is having a revival. Kind of interesting. 7 years ago is kind of when I got into it. 2017, there was that big eclipse. And then it kind of goes away for a while. And then I think it's kind of coming back. And I already plugged a channel that, I mean, I gave so many warnings, like I don't plug channels. And that one has so many things wrong with it. Other people have told me about other channels, like, is it above is below, below is above? I guess I can go check it out, see what they look like, but the name scares me. It reminds me of A Call for an Uprising, how people will pretend to, like, I'm taking the power back from their symbols. I don't believe that. You shouldn't, like, the whole above as, you know, as above, so below thing. Like, why would you take that and put it as your own branding, unless you were one of them? But that was a fascinating thing of 7 years ago in the transvestigation community. You would have a channel, they'd be posting videos, and then they post a video of themselves, like walking in front of a brick wall, and you're like, wow. And then all the comments are full of people saying, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, you're so beautiful. And you're like, but, I mean, this person looks like a reverso. Who's exposing them? And you realize that's how the club operates. They're always ready to compliment one another, and yeah, to put each other up, puff each other up, even though they know the secret. It's so weird. If you're ever on YouTube and you see in the comments out of nowhere, like, somebody will leave a comment and then there will be a bunch of replies. Oh, you're so beautiful, you're gorgeous, oh my goodness. 999 times out of 1,000, it's like an obvious inverted skeleton person, and that's like part of how their club works. I don't know if you get what I'm getting at, but it's like, it's built on false praise that they know is false, but it's almost like they're just saying, you look good for an invert person, you look good. And then they will just relentlessly bully naturals, whatever you want to call them, people, a female with a female body type or a male with a male body type. The man with the correct skeleton will always be told how skinny they are, scrawny, made fun of for those types of things, when it's like, men are supposed to have low body fat. They're not. Man, this is a whole transvestigation. This is part of why it's kind of a hard thing to talk about, because it's at every level of society. It's your family, it's everybody that was in school with you. It explains so many things, like fashion, you know, the what not to wear, shows like that. It's all about, you have an inverted skeleton, let me show you how to dress so that you appear more along the female lines, and so you can trick them. But at the same time, they're constantly throwing it in our faces. They're posing like this on purpose. You will so often see them posting and like full on exposing what they are. That's also sort of part of the magic. They've been doing this a long time, so they clearly know how things work. But exposing themselves is part of the magic and part of disclosure. Disgusting. And people will come out of the woodworks to defend these people like no other. Oh, what are you talking about? Who is this? Lonnie Anderson. They'll say Lonnie Anderson has such a feminine body. Totally trying to gaslight you at the fact that this is like one of the most obvious examples of, this is boobs put on a man frame. And showing how they're over the top with the hair. They got the drag queen hair. They got so much makeup on. It's an act. They need that in order to pass. They got to clown themselves up. And it's the same thing in real life. There's a lot of people out there that they clown themselves up for 2 hours every morning just to pass, and they still don't pass if you understand Skulls and Bones. But it's like their distraction, and it's they play with gender roles too to try to, girls a bow. They'll wear a giant bow on their head every day. Oh, you're a girl. They'll cover themselves in pink lace. Oh, that makes me a woman. I'm covered in pink lace. So I was collecting some images to do the hand signs. This is the Baphomet hand sign right there on this one. And they serve as inspiration for Baphos in society. Baphos look up to these people. Man, if this person can pass and be thought of as attractive, I can do it too. So that's why they're obsessed with the media. That's why they're obsessed with buying those magazines about what celebrities are doing, because they're in on some of the jokes. It really doesn't have that much appeal to somebody who's not in the club. Ever wonder, like, how do those magazines even sell? Who cares? But they share something in common with them. They feel connected to them in ways that a normal person wouldn't. Normal people couldn't care less, but they feel a part of this. And they want to know the tricks. Oh, how does that person get perceived as being so sexy? And you'll notice that the strats, a lot of times they're just castrato. If I ever say strat, Swire syndrome. These are things you can look into. Women that clearly have a masculine body type, they very often they're way too exhibitionist. Their natural women are much less willing to put themselves out there like that. That's dangerous, honestly, for women to be as brazen and exhibitionist as a lot of these people are. So much could be said. Just look at the skull shape. The necks and the skulls, so different. Who has the jaw for days and who's softer. I mean, even the far apart eyes and then the close together eyes, giant eyes. Think about it. Men, women. Who needs the wider set eyes? That's for hunting. Okay? And having a face that pops. It's like a lion. Men should have strong, noticeable faces. And that's why when they paint them up like a clown and put on the bright red lipstick, natural women will realize, like, I don't look right when I try to do the bright red lipstick thing and try to doll myself up like that. It's because you're different. You're not. It's so striking when you take a man's facial structure and paint it up. And arms that hang straight down. Oh, I was picking these pictures for the magic wand hand. Look at the hand on the left. They will hold their hand as if they were holding a magic wand. Yeah, just compare those fingers. Those are some gnarly fingers. The power couples like this, I think most people understand that they're totally fake, that it's not like a real relationship. It's all for camera. And I think a lot of times it's obvious that it's like, we're dumping a ton of money into this invert. We're dumping a ton of money into this invert. Let's, put them together. The synergy, our money, gets doubled by putting them together kind of thing. The power couples, I think they do this with, just to, I don't know. I guess they figure putting two of their illuminated individuals together, maybe they'll shine brighter. Gives more drama, sells more magazines. But I think that a lot of times it's just like they want to showcase, here's our FTM that we're pumping a ton of money into right now. Here's our MTF that we just got a facial feminization and giving them the best wardrobe and stuff. This is a hand very similar to the magic wand hand over there. It looks like Peterson has the wider hips of the two. Well, fashion is all about hiding it, too. The suits are all about making the Martins look like they have very rectangular shoulders. That's the whole reason with the padding. And the legs are often very baggy, hiding their hips. I mean, usually jackets kind of flare out at the hip anyways. Like, jackets that I have are ridiculous and make me look like I have hips because the way that they flare out. Fashion is made for inverted skeletons. Shirts never fit me right in the shoulders, always bunching up under my armpits, and I'm sure that women run into problems when they try to buy pants all the time because they're made for castrati. And men's pants, look at the waist sizes on men's pants. They don't go down very much, and they go up so much. And that's not, men are not supposed to have giant waists. It's really hard to find pants that have a small waist, like 30 inches and less is very hard to find. And they're always so long in the leg too, but women are supposed to have long legs. But male pants, it's like, honestly for me, my dream pant size is like a 30-29 or maybe even a 30-28. My legs are not that long. All my pants, I run a hole in the back of my jeans because they run so long. These Martens have very long legs. Nothing new. This is nothing new. First ladies are very often the most busted, and the whole Michelle Obama thing is kind of a smokescreen for the fact that first ladies have always been obvious busted inverts, and Melania is just as bad, worse. But they need to keep the bimbo appeal alive. They really need that programming of the bimbo look is sexy, which it clearly is not. It's disgusting and fake, but they have to sell this like third thing. They can't sell real natural feminine beauty. That's why even if you get somebody that's going to have a more feminine body shape, it'll have to all be plastic and fake. It'll be like Kardashian, and of course a normal woman's never going to look Kardashian like. So but these days, I will say, obviously they are going for more of the wide hip these days with the celebrities. In the past, they would just use padding and stuff, but these days they're opting for the surgical. And surgery, nothing new too. Like these inverted skeleton surgeries go way back. I think they used to do weird things with their lips. They used to be obsessed with lip surgery, in my opinion. Because, like, the golden age of Hollywood and before, it looks like the MTF often have, like, things going on with their lips. They had their lips surgically altered to look more feminine. These days, though, they go over the top with their bright orange and masculine energy, supposedly female celebrities. Just, it's hard to find a more doodly energy than this one. And they give him a boy name, Billy. The advertisement, it's everywhere. This is just an advertisement on YouTube, but hey, it could have been an advertisement on a local bus station. And look at the ridiculousness of the shoulders. It's like crazy. And this is how they brainwash people and make them think it's normal. But also, it's a part of your family. It's a part of life here. And the whole Free Martin thing is huge. Like, it is beyond unlikely that if you pick a man at random that it's going to be a non-Free Martin. It's so, the numbers are so out of control today, and I think it's just been a eugenics thing for who knows how long. And I think that the elites have closely guarded bloodlines, and I think that they've created a slave class of Free Martins, and I think that just is still continuing today. And certain cultures, I think, were entirely based off of eunuch cultures, and I mean, Free Martins are a little different. It's like eunuchs that can, reminds me of clone army ideas, honestly. It's like eunuchs that can keep producing, and they do produce more Free Martins at very high rates, so it's a perfect eugenics program for cannon fodder class. Sofia Vergara. Do you know what verga means in Spanish? Verga is slang for penis. This is another example of where they want you to know. They want you to see it. They want to put it out there. They don't always try to hide it. Sure, 9 times out of 10, they're wearing a scarf and they're trying to act more girly, but there's that 1 out of 10 times out there where they're begging you to see them for what they are. And You just got to start paying attention. And this is not just famous people. I mean, to go back to Sofia Vergara, Sofia with the Verga, wasn't she allegedly taken from like a supermarket in Brazil or something? Just some bimbo looking person at a supermarket. And it's normal. It's what you would think of as normal people. But the point is if you pay attention, you will see that there's it's overwhelming, the amount of praise and drooling and, oh my God, you're the most beautiful thing, but only when their skeleton is clearly masculine. And it's a huge gaslighting operation. And it's not just famous people. It is people in your life who know about this. It hits close to home to them. They probably are inverted themselves. So they go out of their way to talk about how beautiful people like them are. And then they're wicked towards people who aren't born that way. It's so crazy. They've totally overcompensated. I understand saying that, even I'll admit that, the more I've gotten used to transvestigation and switch skeletons and stuff, sometimes I'll even look at a swire and be like, you know what? Yeah, you're a beautiful woman. And even though you are a swire, like, I get that. But and I think everybody's beautiful in their own ways. I totally agree with that. And I have no sexual attraction towards Swire syndrome, and it was a big mind F for me to have to wake up to the whole, oh, there's a reason why I don't find any celebrities attractive. There's a reason why there's people out there saying, oh my goodness, you're so beautiful. And I'm like, really? They look very masculine to me. But it's all mind games, gaslighting, and they way overboard, overcompensate. It's one thing to say that anybody can be beautiful in their own way. It's another thing to pretend like a masculine woman is the pinnacle of female beauty, and then to relentlessly shame natural-bodied females. And same thing for the men, the cutest ones. I just left a comment the other day about how when I visited the Vatican, they were talking about how, only the most beautiful guards are allowed to become the Vatican guards. How does that make any sense? Beautiful, and they're the beautiful men, all the celebrities that, he's so cute type stuff. But it's more than that. It's being in high school and being like, oh man, why are all the boys have such pretty skin with rosy red cheeks? What's going on here? So, but yeah, hopefully you see what I'm getting at here. I do think that Swire syndrome individuals can be beautiful, but the gaslighting is that they will be showered in praise for being the most beautiful, like it's an undeniable fact, and then natural bodies are shamed, and they are so hypocritical. Like, I understand saying that anybody can be beautiful, but they make it out to be invertedness is the pinnacle of beauty, and anything that isn't that isn't good enough, isn't attractive. So this was an interesting thing from Reddit. I think I've already said a lot, but this is such a great topic, and there's so much more to talk about than celebrities have switched skeletons. Because, well, first of all, yes, celebrities do have switched skeletons, but so does your neighbor, so do your teachers, so does anybody who runs a business, basically. The list is endless. Do you guys remember this was a hilarious, John Humanity showed this video, and it was just like, man, that is undeniably a dude. The dude energy is off the charts. Does anybody else remember? There was a John Humanity video too. It's going to become very relevant in a second. John Humanity interviewed a Freemason who was a cross-dresser but kept the penis. I mean, a Freemartin who liked to dress up as a woman and have sex with Freemasons, basically. And John Humanity interviewed him, and the transgender person or crossdresser, I don't know what they were, they had the triad claw on their hip during the entire interview. And I remember everybody in the comments was like, ask him about the triad claw, ask him about the triad claw. And John Humanity never even brought it up. Well, because he's one of them, obviously. I don't know if anyone remembers that. Here's today's Bible verse, which is very relevant. This is the Bible verse when it comes to transvestigation. Matthew chapter 19, verse 12. For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb. I mean, really, it's that right there. In utero transgenderism, in utero, whatever you want to call it, intersex conditions exist. Jesus mentioned intersex conditions / people who are flipped inside of the womb. And there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. Less common today, but still common. Like, I think that Celine Dion, I believe, was a man and probably got castrated for the voice. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. People used to become eunuchs to work in certain religious sectors. Or maybe for chastity reasons, I don't know. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. That might seem weird, but I think Jesus is just saying, if you can listen to my message here, you know, take it in. And for the context, in this section, Jesus was being asked about divorce, which I think is interesting, because that he responds with this. And so I think what Jesus is trying to say is, you don't divorce. He told us that the only reason that you divorce is adultery. And I think that Jesus is saying here, you don't divorce. And then his answer, he starts talking about eunuchs. So I think he's basically saying, if you're not a eunuch, then we have marriage. I gave you marriage, and we don't divorce unless adultery. And he's saying, here are the other cases. Well, you could be a eunuch. You could. So it's just interesting that this is after being asked about divorce. He goes into eunuchs. Tubal Cain, the father of Smithcraft, Grand Lodge of Ohio. These are just other, I've already said a lot, but I'm going to get into the other fringe things that are tangentially related to transvestigation. Freemasonry comes into it. Tubal Cain, that's what 007 is all about. 2 balls and a cane. Tubal Cain, 2 balls and a cane. I don't know. I don't dive very deep into this stuff because I don't care. There's some channels out there that dive really deep into the alchemy stuff. I don't care enough. That's not for us. Do you think that when we get to heaven that it's going to be like, let's learn about alchemy? No, of course not. So I think that it's one thing to accept that they speak in signs and symbols and to know them, know your enemy, but you don't have to dive super deep. Like I'm not going to go out there and buy an alchemy book and read it cover to cover. Is Rebus, I don't know if I pronounced that right. We got all sorts of alchemical symbols that talk about this male-female thing. The Baphomet is a mixture of male and female, and it has the medical thing at the crotch. I think that's important, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about this. The twisted serpent medical thing at the crotch, because that's what this really is all about. And the mixture of the male and female, and the fact that their genitals are switched. Look at this magic wand hand sign I captured over there. I was just looking, I wasn't even looking for a magic wand hand at this point. I was doing a video on transvestigation. That's a cane. I don't know where the 2 balls are. But what's up with the apron that covers the genitals? So that reminds me of the Baphomet thing. We got that medical thing covering the genitals. They got the apron covering the genitals. What are they covering? What do they got under there if they lift the flap up? Nobody knows sometimes. Actually, a lot of times, I think that's what they're doing with... They have a lot of hand signs where it looks like they're trying to communicate what they have going on under their pants. That's why Donna Trump is definitely a female, and you'll see her doing the Vesica Pisces hand sign literally at her vagina. She will be putting a hand sign that looks like a vagina at her vagina. I think it's pretty clear what she's trying to tell us. And I think I've discovered some hand signs that are Free Martin hand signs. It almost looks like they're sticking their little micro through their collapsed hands. And sometimes you'll see MTF. I think they do a hand sign that indicates that they're still equipped with you-know-what. So I think some of the hand signs talk about what they got going on down there under their apron. Is this my last thing? Yeah, this is my last thing. We'll just end with this. Maybe I'll do more transvestigation videos. I don't personally think it's super helpful to just break down celebrity after celebrity. But I mean, when you're first waking up, repetition is important to learn this stuff. You gotta, in order to learn the the way things are. You got to see it over and over and over again and be like, okay, yeah, it's not just a coincidence. They're literally all that way, just varying degrees. And yeah, let me know in the comments, what type of stuff would you like talked about when it comes to transvestigation? What is most interesting to me is how we've always been around people that have known this information, and they specifically chose to not share it with us. I remember in middle school, the cool kids were making jokes about digit ratios and how it had something to do with how big you were down there as a boy. And I remember, and when I got to college, people made comments about me in that way, and they had never seen me nude. These people, and they get off on that they know stuff that you don't know, and they're going to bring it up. And just, these people have time to repent still, and they need to. I still have not seen any Orange 33 Club members come clean. I assume that they're just very scared of what would happen if somebody found out that they were doing that. I mean, this almost brings me back to the way that Transvestigation first popped out. The weird channels that they would look like a normal Transvestigation channel, but then they show themselves, and it's like, you're obviously part of the club, and they're doing weird things, shilling a book, or posting videos of themselves in front of a brick wall, and other stuff like that. Anyways, let me know what interests you the most about Transvestigation, and maybe I'll make some more videos about this. It's a really hot topic right now, I think. Ready to explode again.
Before our sex scene, I took 2 Pepto-Bismol.
During our sex scene, I felt your dick rubbing into me.